I'm really pleased to be here to be able to give you a little bit of an explanation of our problem. I'm a project officer in a group that works with biodiversity and wetland information. It's mainly what we do. And one of the reasons I work in that group is that I share with my colleagues a confidence in the quality of that information, and we're confident in the source of the data and the methods that we use to consolidate and synthesize that information. And in a sense, that's at the heart of our problem, which is how to make it easier to share that information with anyone in the community and to help them understand what it could mean for them in their lives. So if you think about the different consumers potentially of that information, what it might mean for someone thinking of buying a property to build visitor accommodation in a beautiful bushland setting. What it might mean for a hobby farmer that's grown to love the birds and other wildlife that come and visits the property. And what it might mean for travellers that are planning to experience Queensland's biodiversity. So people are more likely to meet their obligations to care for a natural area if they have some understanding of its biodiversity value. And what I mean by biodiversity values are things like whether an area has wetland habitat known to have a threatened species of frog, an area that's part of a bushland corridor that's used by koalas in southeast Queensland. It could be an area of salt marsh visited by migratory birds that make the journey each year from the Northern Hemisphere. That's what I'm talking about in terms of biodiversity values. So whether people need to know about biodiversity values because they're protected by law, or whether they simply want to know more about their environment, we'd like for it to be easier for people to have that knowledge by connecting to our summary information and existing online tools using a mobile device. Now, while we would very much like to see a broad range of people using biodiversity information, both for business and educational reasons, our priority is addressing the need for people to have that information for making development decisions. So Environmental Reports Online is a tool that our group developed with colleagues in the city that addresses that need. It lets the customer choose up to 3 types of reports, which are produced as PDF documents that list summary maps and tables on the biodiversity values for a specified area, and they specify the area of interest. In 2016, there were 1,300 of these reports downloaded on average each month. The majority were from the business and government sectors. A significant number from the business sector were requested by environmental consultants working for development companies, and a significant number from the government sector were requested by department and council staff. So my department's biodiversity information is an important part of identifying the state's interest in protecting biodiversity under its state planning policy. Local governments incorporate that information into their regional plans and planning schemes, and this influences land use patterns and establishes requirements for assessing development applications. The state government also assesses activities that can have negative impacts on biodiversity values. An example is draining or filling a wetland, assessed as having high ecological significance in the Great Barrier Reef catchments. So we think it's important that people contemplating development in or near a natural area have access to the most relevant information as early as possible in their decision making. That can be the difference between a good and a not so good customer experience and environmental outcome. Our group is really pleased to have this opportunity to participate in the TWIG program because it will undoubtedly add to our community of practice in developing science information. We feel sure that our problem offers the selective startup or SME the challenge that they are looking for, and we hope that our collaboration will ultimately benefit their business, our customers and the environment. Thank you.
Thanks, Shauna. Questions for Shauna? One down the front.
Hi, I'm Morgan from Guy Resources again. I'm just wondering, because the Atlas of Living Australia offers a lot of biodiversity query tools and a pretty good mobile toolkit and a whole bunch of APIs. Do you have more detailed data that isn't available through that public portal that you'd be seeing made available through this program?
Yes, we do particularly have data sets that have a particular regulatory focus, so it'll give some idea of the level of protection that the state or the local government might be looking for.
G'day, Ben from GeoImage. You've discussed a lot of the current use of this data by government and developers and landowners.
Yeah.
Just wondering if you've done any study on how they would like to consume this on a mobile device, because they're currently using it on desktop. What kind of feedback have you got as to what have you got available?
Yeah, I know what you're saying, and we don't have that kind of insight at this point in time in terms of how they'd like to consume it. And my colleague, Rob Hughes, might also just want to chip in there.
I'm Rob Hughes. I'm the director of the information group within the department. What we're trying to do with this app is actually expand our market. At the moment, the market is groups like our environmental consultants. We think, in fact, the developer themselves and small-time developers might find that sort of information more easily available if it was on a phone rather than having to go to a consultant. So the idea, again, is to expand the range from a development point of view to develop people, mums and dads who might want to develop their own block of land, to others that might want to put a nature refuge over it. What are the values on that block of land? How can they better protect it? So I guess we're wanting to expand the availability of the information that's already there, make it more accessible.
Okay, any other questions? Any Twitter questions? So just hashtag AQ, twig again. Oh, one over here.
I'm just curious, with the MVP, are you looking to just service the existing target market, or would you prefer the MVP to actually address the extended target market?
We'll definitely prioritise the existing, but if we can actually move into the other, that would be fantastic.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Shauna. Thanks very much.